Kendall's fingers counted bills slowly, while 3 men surrounded the register. The tallest one had something dark pointed at her stomach under his jacket, and she knew better than to scream or panic. The diner was
Here
empty,
is your change.
except for old Mr. Peters,
Have a nice
sleeping
day.
in the corner booth like
Thanks.
always.
You too. Appreciate it.
Faster, the man hissed, eyes darting toward the windows. I'm going as fast as I can without triggering the alarm, Kendall said quietly, her voice steady even though her heart was racing. She'd been robbed twice before at her other job and learned that staying calm kept everyone alive. The second robber grabbed at the tip jar, and Kendall didn't stop him. Money wasn't worth dying over. She kept her movements smooth and predictable, so nobody would get nervous and do something stupid. Outside, and a black car pulled up to the curb, and a man in dark clothes stepped out. He glanced at the diner through the glass door, and his whole body went still. Kendall saw him notice the situation immediately. The way the 3 men were positioned, the bulge under the tall one's jacket, her careful movements. The man outside moved fast. He yanked the door open, and the chime made all 3 robbers spin around. Before anyone could react, he had the tall one's arm twisted behind his back and the weapon clattering to the floor. The second robber lunged at him but got knocked backward into a table. The third one ran for the back exit. "Don't move," the stranger said in accented English, his voice cold and controlled. He wasn't even breathing hard. The tall robber groaned on the floor. The second one scrambled up and followed his friend out the back. The stranger let them go, just kicked the weapon under the counter, and turned to face Kendall. "You okay?" he asked. Kendall nodded slowly, finally allowing herself to shake a little now that it was over. "Yeah, thank you. That was... Who are you?" Someone who was passing by. He studied her with dark, intelligent eyes. "You didn't scream, didn't panic. Why?" "Panicking gets people hurt," Kendall said simply, leaning against the counter. "Better to just give them what they want and let them leave." "Smart." He glanced at the weapon on the floor. "You should call the police. They won't do anything. This is the 3rd robbery this month in this neighborhood." Kendall started straightening the mess left behind. "But I appreciate you stopping. Most people just keep walking." The stranger pulled out a business card and placed it on the counter. "I own restaurants. I need managers who stay calm under pressure. Call that number tomorrow if you want better work." Kendall picked up the card. Simple black design with a name, Dongjian Lee, and a phone number. "Just like that?" "Just like that." He headed for the door, then paused. "What's your name?" "Kendall. Kendall Osei." "Kendall Osei," he repeated like he was memorizing it. "Tomorrow. Don't make me wait." "Real quick. What's your vibe right now? Anxious? Angry? Intrigued? Drop an emoji that matches your energy. Subscribe because stories that make you feel something are rare, and I'm serving them consistently. Comment which character you're most curious about, then keep watching. The next scene will either confirm your instincts or completely destroy them." He left, and Kendall stood there holding his card, wondering what just happened. Mr. Peters woke up and asked for more coffee, like nothing unusual had occurred. That night, in her tiny apartment with the leaking ceiling, Kendall stared at the card. The eviction notice on her table said she had 2 weeks to come up with rent. Her bank account said that wasn't happening. This stranger's offer felt too good to be true, but desperate times made risky decisions feel reasonable. She called the number at 9 the next morning. A woman answered in Korean, then switched to English. "Lee Holdings. How can I help you?" "I'm calling for Donggan. He told me to call. My name is Kendall." Silence. Then the woman said, "One moment, please." Classical music played for exactly 30 seconds before a man's voice came on, the same voice from yesterday. "Kendall, I wasn't sure you'd actually call." "I need the job," she admitted. No point pretending otherwise. "But I don't understand why you're offering it to someone you just met." Because you have something most people don't. You think clearly under pressure. That's valuable. Papers rustled on his end. Can you come to this address at 2? It's a restaurant in the business district. Wear something professional. Kendall looked at her closet full of diner uniforms and one dress from her cousin's wedding 3 years ago. Okay, 2 o'clock. Good. Don't be late, Kendall. The restaurant was on the 20th floor, with windows overlooking the entire city. A doorman who looked like he could break someone in half checked his tablet when Kendall arrived. Miss Osi? That's me? Top floor. Mr. Lee is expecting you. The glass elevator made her stomach drop as the ground fell away. She'd never been this high up in a building before. When the doors opened, Donggeon was standing there waiting, dressed in all black like yesterday, but somehow looking more dangerous in the daylight. You're early, he said, not smiling but not frowning either. Traffic was better than I expected. Follow me. He led her through the empty restaurant to a private office in the back. Security monitors lined one wall, showing different camera angles of the building. Donggeon gestured to a chair across from his desk. You know what I am, he said bluntly once she sat down. What I really do, not just restaurants. Kendall had done some research last night on her phone. Lee Holdings had connections to shipping, real estate, private security, and rumors of less legal operations. I've heard things. The things you heard are probably true. He leaned back in his chair. I run legitimate businesses, but my money comes from places that aren't completely legal. Does that bother you? My government doesn't care when people like me can't afford medicine or rent, Kendall said carefully. Hard for me to judge other people's survival methods. Something shifted in his expression, almost like approval. Honest answer. I like that. Why do you need me specifically? You could hire anyone. Because yesterday you treated armed robbers like human beings. You stayed calm, but you also had compassion. Most people in my world have forgotten how to do that. Donggeon pulled out a contract and slid it across the desk. This restaurant hosts meetings with my business partners. You'd manage the staff and sometimes attend these meetings. Your job is to watch people and tell me what you see. You want me to spy on your partners? I want you to read them, like you read those robbers yesterday. Tell me who's lying, who's planning something, who's trustworthy. He tapped the contract. Salary is triple what you make now. Health benefits. Signing bonus covers 6 months of rent. Kendall's hands shook as she picked up the paper. The numbers seemed impossible. What's the catch? You see things you can't talk about. Ever. To anyone. His eyes held hers. And some people won't like that I hired you. My family has expectations about who I work with. Because I'm African. Because you're an outsider with no connections to their world. Donggeon's voice was matter-of-fact. They'll test you, question you. Some will be rude. Can you handle that? Kendall thought about every racist comment she'd endured since moving here for school 5 years ago. Every time someone assumed she didn't speak English. Every job that passed her over. I've handled worse. Then we have a deal? She picked up the pen and signed before she could overthink it. Donggeon stood and extended his hand. His grip was firm but not crushing when they shook. You start Monday. My assistant will send details. He walked her to the elevator. And Kendall? That calmness you showed yesterday. Keep it, or you're going to need it in this world. Monday morning arrived with a text message containing instructions. Kendall wore her wedding dress again. She really needed to buy new clothes with that signing bonus, and arrived at the restaurant at 8. Staff were already prepping for lunch service, and a woman in her 40s approached immediately. You're the new manager. Her tone suggested she wasn't happy about it. Kendall Osei, nice to meet you. I'm Suki, head chef. The woman looked her up and down. Mr. Lee usually tells us before hiring new management. It was a quick decision, Kendall said diplomatically. Suki switched to Korean, speaking to the other staff. Kendall caught enough words to know they were discussing her, questioning why Dong-gyeon hired someone with no experience, wondering if she was sleeping with the boss. She pretended not to understand, and focused on learning the computer system. Dong-gyeon arrived at 11 with 3 men in suits. He caught Kendall's eye and gave a slight nod toward his office. She followed after making sure the lunch prep was on schedule. "These are associates from Johannesburg," Dong-gyeon explained once they were alone. "They want to expand their shipping business through my ports. During lunch, watch them. Tell me afterward what you notice." "What am I looking for?" "Anything unusual. Trust your instincts." The lunch went smoothly from a service perspective. Kendall made sure wine glasses stayed full and courses arrived perfectly timed. But she also watched. The oldest man kept checking his phone under the table. The youngest wouldn't look Dong-gyeon in the eye. The middle one smiled too much, talked too loud, or seemed desperate to prove something. After they left, Dong-gyeon pulled Kendall aside. "Well?" "The young one is hiding something. He's scared. Keeps touching his watch like it's a security blanket." Kendall hesitated. "And the old one? He got a message that upset him. His hand started shaking after he read it." Dong-gyeon's expression sharpened. "You're sure?" "Pretty sure. He tried to hide it, but I saw." "Interesting." Dong-gyeon made a phone call in rapid Korean. When he hung up, he looked at Kendall with something like respect. "My security just confirmed the young one is wearing a recording device. You caught that without knowing." "I just noticed he seemed nervous. Most people wouldn't have." "You have good instincts, Kendall. Don't doubt them." Over the next 3 weeks, Kendall learned the rhythm of Dong-gyeon's world, of business meetings disguised as dinners, money discussions happening in careful code, people who smiled while planning beater Nicolelles. But she also saw unexpected kindness. When a busboy's mother got sick, Dong-gyeon paid the hospital bills anonymously. When a rival tried to threaten a shop owner, Dong-gyeon made the problem disappear without anyone getting hurt. "You're not what I expected," Kendall told him one evening while closing the restaurant together. "What did you expect?" Dong-gyeon was counting receipts at the bar. "Someone cruel, cold. You're calculating, but you're not evil." He glanced up. "Don't mistake pragmatism for goodness. I do what serves my interests." "You helped that busboy's family. There was no benefit to you." "Wasn't there? Now I have his loyalty, his trust, but his willingness to work harder." "You did it before you knew it would pay off," Kendall said quietly. "I watched your face when he told you about his mother. You cared." Dong-gyeon set down the receipts. "You see too much. That's why you hired me." They stood there in the dim restaurant, city lights filtering through the windows. Something had shifted between them over these weeks. The way he looked at her lasted a second too long. The way her pulse jumped when he stood close. "I should go," Kendall said, breaking the moment. "It's late." "Wait." Dong-gyeon pulled an envelope from his jacket. "Your bonus. You've done good work." Kendall opened it and nearly dropped the cash inside. "This is too much." "It's what you've earned." His phone rang before she could argue. Why, he answered in Korean, and his whole expression changed, hardened into something dangerous. When he hung up, he looked at Kendall seriously. "My cousin is coming from Incheon tomorrow. There might be tension. Stay away from the restaurant after 6. "Why? What's wrong?" "Family politics. Nothing you need to worry about." But his jaw was tight, and Kendall could see the stress in his shoulders. "Dong-gyeon, Kendall, please. Some things are too dangerous even for you to be around." She wanted to argue, but nodded instead. That night she couldn't sleep, worry gnawing at her for reasons she didn't fully understand. The next day dragged. Kendall tried to stay away like Dong-gyeon asked, but by 7 o'clock she couldn't take it anymore. She caught a cab to the restaurant and found it dark except for lights in Dong-gyeon's office. So 2 unfamiliar men stood guard outside, not Dongjeon's usual security. Kendall used the delivery entrance, the one staff used for supply drops. The door was unlocked. Inside, she heard angry voices in Korean. She crept closer, staying in shadows. Through a gap in the office curtain, she saw Dongjeon facing a man who looked similar enough to be family. Same sharp features, but meaner eyes. "You've gone soft," the cousin said in Korean. Kendall's understanding was limited, but she caught the gist. Father would be ashamed. You help people. Show mercy. That's not how we maintain power. Loyalty matters more than fear, Dongjeon replied evenly in Korean. Sentiment makes you weak, like hiring that African girl. The cousin pulled out his phone, showing pictures of Kendall at her apartment, at the restaurant, walking to work. You think I don't know about her? Kendall's blood went cold. Leave her out of this, Dongjeon said. And even not understanding every word, Kendall heard the danger in his voice. Why? She's just an employee. The cousin smiled cruelly. Unless she's more, which would be even more foolish. Father sent me to remind you, we don't marry beneath us, especially not foreign workers with nothing. My personal life is none of... Everything you do affects this family. The cousin stepped closer. Get rid of her tonight, or I'll handle it myself. Kendall's elbow hit a metal tray propped against the wall. The crash echoed like an explosion. Both men's heads snapped toward her. Dongjeon's eyes went wide. Kendall, so this is her. The cousin crossed the room fast, studying Kendall like she was something he might squash. Perfect timing. Kendall forced herself to stand still, even though every instinct screamed at her to run. The cousin circled her slowly, speaking in English now. You're prettier than the photos. I see why Dongjeon is distracted. I'm just his employee, Kendall managed, keeping her voice level. Liar. The cousin stopped in front of her. Dongjeon doesn't look at employees the way he looks at you. He doesn't defend them. He certainly doesn't threaten family over them. Daishik, that's enough, Dongjeon warned, moving toward them. Or what? You'll choose her over family, over father's legacy? Daishik laughed without humor. She's using you. Poor girl finds rich man. Suddenly she matters. Stop, Dongjeon's voice could have cut steel. But the damage was done. Kendall felt tears burn behind her eyes, but refused to let them fall. Is that what everyone thinks? That I'm some opportunist? Kendall, no. Dongjeon reached for her arm. She stepped back. I should leave. Running away proves my point, Daishik taunted. I'm leaving because I don't belong in this world. Kendall looked at Dongjeon, really looked at him. He's right. Your family, your expectations. I can't fit into that. I was stupid to think. She stopped herself. Thank you for the job. I'll resign tomorrow. She turned toward the door. Dongjeon caught her wrist gently. Don't, he said, and his voice cracked slightly. Please don't. Let her go, Daishik ordered. This is for the best. Dongjeon ignored him completely, eyes locked on Kendall's face. What he said isn't true. You're not using me, and I don't care what my family thinks. You should care. They're your family, your future. Kendall carefully pulled free. I'm just a waitress trying not to drown in debt. We're from completely different worlds. Then let me bridge that gap. How? Kendall's voice broke a little. Your cousin is right. I have nothing to offer someone like you. You're wrong. Dongjeon's hand lifted toward her face, but stopped short of touching. You showed me there's more to life than power and control. You reminded me how to see people as human. That's worth more than anything my family can offer. Daishik made a disgusted sound. This is pathetic. She's clearly manipulated. One more word, and you're on a flight home tonight, Dongjeon snapped, without looking away from Kendall. I mean it. Silence fell heavy between them. Kendall searched Dongyeon's face, seeing something there she'd been too scared to name. "And what are you really saying?" "I'm saying I've fallen for you. Probably started that first day when you showed mercy to those robbers." His voice went softer. "I'm saying I don't care about expectations if it means losing you." "Dongyeon, this is crazy. So is thinking I could keep pretending you're just an employee." He finally touched her cheek, just his fingertips. "Stay. Please. We'll figure everything else out." Kendall wanted to believe him so badly it hurt, but Daishik's cold eyes watching them made reality crash back. "Your family will never accept this, and I won't be the reason you lose everything." She left before he could respond, practically running to the street. Behind her, she heard Daishik's voice rise in Korean, and Dongyeon shouting back, but she didn't stop. Tears finally spilled over as she flagged down a cab, a chest tight with emotions she didn't know how to handle. For 3 days, Kendall ignored Dongyeon's calls. She picked up extra shifts at her old diner, tried to pretend the last month hadn't happened. The eviction notice had been delayed with her bonus money, but barely. On the 4th day, someone knocked at midnight. Kendall opened her door to find an elegant woman in her 50s, Korean, with eyes that missed nothing. "Kendall Osei?" the woman asked. "Who are you?" "Kim Samara, Dongjeon's mother." She walked in without invitation, surveying the cramped space. "We need to talk." Kendall's stomach dropped. "If you're here to threaten me..." "I'm here because my son won't eat, won't sleep, just works until he collapses." Samara sat on Kendall's worn couch. "He made dangerous mistakes yesterday because he was distracted, and nearly got himself hurt during negotiations. I'm sorry, but I don't see how..." "Don't play dumb. You're the reason he's falling apart." Samara pulled out an envelope. "So, either you fix this or you leave. I've arranged a visa and job in Toronto, $1 million cash. Take it and disappear." Kendall's hands clenched. "You can't just..." "I can. I have resources you can't imagine." Samara's voice wasn't cruel, just stating facts. $1 million and a fresh start. Or go back to my son and deal with my family fighting you every step. They'll question everything, make your life difficult. Some will be openly hostile. Then why give me a choice at all?" Samara's expression softened barely. "Because I've never seen Dongyeon look at anyone the way he looks at you. And when I investigated your background..." "Yes, I investigated. I found something interesting. You've worked multiple jobs since you were 16, sent money to your sister for school, never took shortcuts, never compromised your values." She leaned forward. "You have integrity. That's rare. You're testing me." "Yes, to see if you're strong enough for what's coming." Samara stood. "Choose quickly. He's spiraling, and I won't let him destroy everything over heartbreak." She left the envelope and walked out. Kendall stared at it for hours. $1 million. A new life. Freedom from struggling. She could help her sister, get a real place, start over somewhere safe. But when she closed her eyes, she saw Dongyeon's face that night. The vulnerability he'd shown, the way he'd looked at her like she mattered. She picked up her phone. Dongyeon answered immediately, voice rough. "Kendall, your mother visited me." Silence. "What did she say?" "She offered me money to leave. A lot of money." More silence. Just breathing. "I'm not taking it," Kendall said quietly. "But I need to know this is real. That we're not just caught up in something impossible." "Where are you?" "My apartment." "Stay there. I'm coming now." He arrived in 12 minutes. His clothes were rumpled, hair messy, dark circles under his eyes confirming everything his mother said. "You look terrible," Kendall said when she opened the door. "You left me." He said it simply, like that explained everything. They stood in her doorway with city noise filtering up from the street. Kendall stepped back, letting him in. Your mother said your family will make my life miserable, she said once the door closed. They probably will. She said they'll question everything, be hostile. Probably. She said I'm too different. Wrong background, wrong country, wrong everything. They're wrong. Dongyeon moved closer. You're exactly right. For me. Kendall's defenses crumbled. I'm scared. This is insane. We barely know each other, and we're talking about... What are we even talking about? A future, if you want one. His hand found hers, fingers intertwining. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But I've never been more certain of anything. Your family will adjust or they won't. That's their problem. His thumb traced circles on her palm. You're mine now, if you'll have me. This is completely insane, Kendall whispered, but she was smiling slightly. That's not a no. It's not a yes either. Not yet. She squeezed his hand. I need a few days. To think. To be sure. Dongyeon nodded, disappointment flickering across his face, but understanding too. Okay. However long you need, my answer won't change. He pressed his lips to her forehead, gentle and restrained, then left. Kendall spent 2 days thinking, video calling her sister, weighing every option. On the 3rd day, she called him. Okay, she said when he answered. Okay? I'm in. Whatever this is, wherever it goes, I'm in. The silence lasted so long she thought the call dropped. Really, really. But I have conditions. Name them. I keep my independence, my own money, my own choices. I'm not becoming anyone's kept woman. Agreed. And if your family gets too awful, we handle it together. No protecting me like I'm fragile. Agreed. Anything else? That's it for now. She heard him actually laugh. When can I see you? Now works. He arrived in 8 minutes this time. When she opened the door, he pulled her into a hug that lifted her feet slightly off the ground. You're sure? He asked against her hair. Terrified but sure. Same thing, right? Close enough. Meeting Dongyeon's family officially was scheduled for Sunday. Kendall spent the week in constant nervousness that no amount of reassurance could fix. They're going to hate me, she said, for probably the 100th time, standing in front of her closet. Some will, some won't. Dongyeon sat on her bed, watching her try on different outfits. My uncle will appreciate your intelligence. My aunt will be suspicious, but fair. Daeshik you already met. Daeshik definitely hates me. Daeshik hates everyone. Don't take it personally. Kendall settled on a simple dress, modest, well-fitted, not trying too hard. What about your father? Dongyeon's expression darkened. My father built everything through ruthlessness. He won't understand choosing love over advantage. Maybe we should postpone. No. Waiting won't change anything. He stood, coming behind her. You're stronger than you think, Kendall. You'll handle them. The Lee family compound sat outside the city behind gates that probably cost more than Kendall's entire neighborhood. Security checked them through 3 separate points before they reached the main house. Subtle, Kendall muttered. Dongyeon squeezed her hand. Welcome to my world. The dining room could seat 30 people. Kendall counted 12 family members, all impeccably dressed, all watching her with varying degrees of curiosity and suspicion. Dongyeon's father sat at the head, Lee Junwoo, silver-haired, probably 60, with eyes like frozen steel. He didn't stand when they entered. So this is her, he said in Korean. Dongyeon translated quietly. This is Kendall Osei, Dongyeon replied in English, making a point. My girlfriend. The room erupted in whispered Korean. Samara silenced them with one look. Please sit, she told Kendall, gesturing to a chair. We're just family. No need for formality. Kendall seriously doubted that. but sat anyway. Dong-geon took the chair beside her, his leg pressing against hers under the table, a small reassurance. Dinner started with polite small talk. The uncle asked about her education. An aunt questioned her work history. Relatively painless, until Daishik decided to cause trouble. "Tell me, Kendall," he said sweetly. "What do you think of our family business?" Trap. An obvious trap. Kendall felt Dong-geon tense beside her. "I think every family has complicated histories," she replied carefully. "Mine included. I try not to judge without understanding full context." "Diplomatic?" Junwoo spoke for the first time, studying her. "But you know what my son does. What we all do. Does that bother you?" Kendall met his gaze. "Your son has never asked me to compromise my morals. He's shown more compassion than many so-called respectable people I've known. So no, it doesn't bother me." "Compassion is weakness," Junwoo stated flatly. "Compassion is strength," Kendall countered, before she could stop herself. The room went completely silent. "It takes nothing to be cruel. It takes real strength to be kind, when the world tells you kindness doesn't matter." Dong-geon's hand found hers under the table. Junwoo's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Maybe interest, maybe not complete dismissal. "You have strong opinions. I appreciate that." The rest of dinner passed in careful conversation. Kendall answered questions, deflected insults disguised as concerns, tried to ignore the weight of constant scrutiny. Afterward, Samara pulled her aside while Dong-geon argued with Daishik about something. "You did well," Samara said. "Better than I expected. But not good enough. My husband doesn't impress easily, but he didn't throw you out. That's something." Samara's expression shifted. "However, you should know. Someone's been asking questions about you. Private investigator. Not family hired." Kendall's stomach dropped. "Who?" "We're finding out. But be careful. You're connected to Dong-geon now, and that makes you a target." The warning proved accurate. 2 days later, Kendall received photos at her apartment. Pictures of her and Dong-geon together. Her sister Camilla walking to school back home. Her old diner job. Each photo had a typed message. "Leave him or face consequences." Her hands shook as she called Dong-geon. "I'm coming," he said immediately. "No, I'm coming to you. Someone's watching my place." She took 3 different cabs, checking constantly for anyone following. When she finally reached Dong-geon's penthouse, her first time seeing where he actually lived, he already had security footage pulled up. "The photos were delivered by courier," he explained, jaw tight. "Paid cash. No cameras caught who sent them. They threatened Camilla." Kendall's voice shook with anger now, not fear. "She's 17. Well, she has nothing to do with this. I know. I've already arranged protection." Dong-geon pulled up more screens. "Your sister has 2 bodyguards now. They're posing as university students, and I've donated new security to her school under a different name. You can't just—" "I can, and I did." His eyes met hers. "You're mine to protect now. That includes people you love." Kendall wanted to argue about independence and not needing protection, but the photos of Camilla stopped her. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. This is my fault. My world put you in danger." "I chose to be in your world. You didn't choose to be threatened." Kendall moved closer, taking his hand. "We'll figure this out together. That's what you promised, remember?" Dong-geon pulled her into his arms, just holding her. No words needed. The next morning brought worse news. Now Dong-geon's phone rang at 6, and he answered in rapid Korean. Kendall watched his expression change from sleepy to alert to furious in seconds. "What happened?" she asked when he hung up. "One of my shipments was intercepted. Legal goods, but the timing is suspicious." He was already getting dressed. "This is connected to those photos. Someone's trying to pressure me. By threatening your business? By showing they can hurt what matters to me. Dong-geon pulled on his jacket. I need to handle this. Stay here. My security will keep you safe. I'm coming with you. Kendall. We handle things together, remember. You promised. She was already pulling on clothes. Besides, maybe I'll see something your security missed. Dong-geon looked like he wanted to argue, but nodded. Stay close to me. Don't wander off. They arrived at the warehouse district as the sun rose. Police were already there, paperwork being filed. Dong-geon spoke with his lawyer, while Kendall watched the officers work. Something felt wrong. The youngest officer kept glancing at his phone nervously. He'd positioned himself away from his colleagues. And when he thought nobody was watching, he made a quick call and walked toward the back exit. Dong-geon, Kendall said quietly, nodding toward the officer. Dong-geon followed her gaze, then made a subtle gesture. Two of his security team peeled off to follow the officer. 10 minutes later, they returned with information. The officer had called someone and said, "Package delivered," before hanging up. He tipped someone off about the shipment, Dong-geon said grimly. So, question is who paid him? Can you find out? Oh, I'll find out. His voice promised consequences. Over the next week, the threats escalated. More photos. Suspicious incidents at Dong-geon's businesses. Someone tried to hack his bank accounts. But Dong-geon's security was good, and they traced everything back to a rival family from Ulsan trying to expand into his territory. They're using you to get to me, Dong-geon explained one evening in his office. They think if they threaten you, I'll back down from a shipping deal. Will you? Absolutely not. He looked at her seriously. But I am moving you somewhere safer. My family compound has better security. I'm not moving in with your parents. There's a separate guest house. Your own space. Please, Kendall. I can't focus on business if I'm worried about you every second. She wanted to refuse on principle, but the look in his eyes stopped her. Okay, but temporarily, until this is resolved. Thank you. Moving to the compound felt surreal. The guest house was bigger than her entire apartment building. Staff appeared to handle everything. Kendall felt completely out of place. Samara visited the second day. Settling in. Still feels like I'm in a hotel, Kendall admitted. This isn't really me. No, it's not. But you're adapting. Samara sat on the couch. I wanted to apologize for testing you with that money. It was manipulative. You were protecting your son. I understand that. I was. But I also underestimated you. Samara smiled slightly. You're tougher than you look. My husband respects that, even if he won't admit it. Does he hate that I'm with Dong-geon? He doesn't hate it. He's cautious. Junwoo has seen many people try to use his sons for money or status. He's waiting to see if you're different. I am different. I know. But proving it takes time. Samara stood to leave. Be patient with him, and with the rest of the family. Change is hard for people who've lived one way for generations. That evening, Dong-geon found Kendall sitting outside the guest house, looking at stars she could actually see away from city lights. Penny for your thoughts? He asked, sitting beside her. Just thinking how different my life was 3 months ago. I was serving coffee and dodging eviction notices. Now I'm hiding from rival families in a mansion. Having regrets? No. Maybe. Sometimes. She looked at him. Are you sure about this? About us? Because your family is barely tolerating me, and people are actively trying to hurt me to get to you. I've never been more sure of anything. How can you be so certain? Dong-geon took her hand. Because before you, I was just going through motions, building power, making money, following family expectations. But I wasn't actually living. You changed that. You made me remember there's more to life than control and fear. Kendall leaned against his shoulder. I love you. I don't think I've actually said that out loud yet. You haven't. But I knew. He kissed the top of her head. I love you too. They sat in comfortable silence until Dong Geon's phone rang. He answered, listened. Then his expression went completely cold. What is it? Kendall asked. They found who's been threatening you. The rival family hired someone local. He stood, already making more calls. I'm handling this tonight. Dongjeon, don't do anything. I'm not going to hurt anyone. I'm just going to make very clear what happens when people threaten what's mine. He kissed her forehead. Stay here. I'll be back soon. He left before she could argue. Kendall tried to stay calm, but anxiety gnawed at her. She paced the guest house for 2 hours before Samara appeared. He'll be fine, Samara assured her. Donggeon knows what he's doing. I hate feeling helpless. Then don't be helpless. Come with me. Samara led her to the main house's office, where security monitors showed multiple locations. This is where we track everything. Every business, every property, every situation. If you're going to be part of this family, you should understand how we operate. For the next hour, Samara explained the family business, the legitimate parts and the less legitimate parts, the networks they maintained, the rivals they managed, the delicate balance of power that kept everything running. Why are you telling me all this? Kendall asked. Because knowledge is power, and because I think you're smarter than anyone gives you credit for. Samara pulled up a new screen. Look at this. These are financial records from the rival family threatening you. See anything interesting? Kendall studied the numbers. They're spending more than they're earning. Way more. Exactly. They're desperate. Overextended. That's why they're pushing into Donggeon's territory. So what does that mean? It means they're weak, and weakness can be exploited. Samara smiled slightly. Or want to help me figure out how? Kendall found herself smiling back. Yeah, I really do. By the time Donggeon returned at midnight, Kendall and Samara had mapped out the rival family's entire financial network. Every weak point, every desperate deal, every place they'd overextended themselves. You two have been busy, Donggeon said, looking at the screens with raised eyebrows. Your girlfriend has a good head for numbers, Samara replied. She spotted patterns my accountants missed. I just looked at where money was moving, Kendall said, but she felt proud. They're buying loyalty but can't afford to keep it. Another 3 months, and they'll collapse on their own. 3 months is too long. They could hurt someone in that time. Donggeon studied the information. But if we accelerate their problems, make their creditors nervous, they'd have to retreat within weeks. How do we do that? Legal pressure, business competition, nothing violent. He looked at Kendall. I promised you I don't hurt innocent people. I keep my promises. Over the next month, Donggeon systematically dismantled the rival family's operations without throwing a single punch. He bought out their creditors, undercut their prices, offered better deals to their business partners. Within 3 weeks, they were begging for a meeting to negotiate terms. Kendall watched it all happen from the compound's office, learning how power really worked. Not through fear and violence like movies showed, but through strategy and patience, and knowing when to press advantages. You're good at this, Donggeon told her one evening, and reviewing her notes on a potential new business partner. Better than some people I've worked with for years. I just pay attention. That's more than most people do. He pulled her close. I'm thinking of making you an official consultant. Actual job title, proper salary. I already work for you. Not like this. This would be real partnership. Strategy, planning, negotiations. What do you think? Kendall considered it. I think I'd like that, but only if your family agrees. I don't want them thinking I'm taking advantage. My father already suggested it, actually. What? Kendall pulled back in surprise. Junwoo suggested hiring me. He said, and I quote, "That girl sees things clearly. Use her brain instead of wasting her on restaurant management." Dong-geon smiled. High praise from him. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Be my partner, in business and in life. That sounds suspiciously like a proposal. It's not. Not yet, anyway. He kissed her gently. When I propose, you'll know. It'll be much more dramatic. I'm holding you to that. I'm counting on it. 3 months into their relationship, Kendall had settled into her new role. She divided time between the restaurant and the compound office, analyzing deals and reading people during negotiations. The family had warmed to her, some genuinely, some just accepting the inevitable. Everything felt stable until Dong-geon came home one evening looking shaken. "My father collapsed today," he said without preamble. "Heart attack. He's in the hospital." Kendall's heart dropped. Is he okay? Stable for now, but doctors say he needs surgery. For risky surgery. Dong-geon sat heavily on the couch. If something happens to him. Don't think like that. I have to. If he dies, I become head of the family. Everything falls to me, all the responsibility, all the decisions. He looked at her. That's more pressure than you signed up for. Hey. Kendall took his face in her hands. I signed up for you. All of you. That includes whatever responsibilities come with your family. You say that now. I mean it now. And I'll mean it tomorrow, and every day. After. She pecked his lips. We're in this together. Remember? Dong-geon pulled her into his lap, just holding her. I don't deserve you. Probably not, Kendall teased gently. But you're stuck with me anyway. They spent that night at the hospital. Junwoo came through surgery successfully, but would need months to recover. Which meant Dong-geon had to step up immediately. The next weeks were brutal. Dong-geon worked 18-hour days managing everything, making decisions, meeting with family heads, handling business deals. Kendall supported him however she could, but she saw the stress wearing him down. You need to sleep, she told him one night when he came home at 2 a.m. I will. Just need to finish these reports. Dong-geon, you're going to collapse like your father if you keep this up. I'm fine. You're not fine. You haven't eaten properly in days. You barely sleep. This isn't sustainable. What choice do I have? He snapped, then immediately looked guilty. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. It's okay. You're stressed. I get it. Kendall closed his laptop. But you have people who can help. Your uncle, your mother, even me. Now you don't have to carry everything alone. Delegating feels like weakness. Delegating is smart. You taught me that. She pulled him toward the bedroom. Come on, sleep now. Work tomorrow. He didn't argue, which showed how exhausted he really was. 2 months into Junwoo's recovery, things started stabilizing. Dong-geon found his rhythm. The family accepted his leadership. But then Kendall started feeling sick. At first, she blamed stress. But when the nausea lasted 2 weeks and she missed her period, she took a test. Positive. She stared at it for 10 minutes, mind completely blank. A baby. She was pregnant with Dong-geon's baby. They'd been careful, but not careful enough, apparently. Fear and joy and panic all swirled together. She had no idea how Dong-geon would react. They'd never discussed children. Everything had moved so fast already. She waited until evening when he came home. We need to talk. His expression immediately went alert. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, exactly. It's just... She pulled out the test. I'm pregnant. Dong-geon stared at it like it was written in a foreign language. You're pregnant? Yeah, with a baby. That's usually how pregnancy works, yes. He sat down slowly. Okay, this is... Wow. I know it's fast, and we haven't talked about this, and... Kendall. He looked up at her with tears actually in his eyes. This is amazing. Terrifying, but amazing. You're not upset? Upset? He stood and pulled her close. I'm going to be a father. We're going to be parents. How could I be upset about that? Relief flooded through her. I was so worried you'd think it was too soon. It is too soon. We should probably be married first. My family will definitely have opinions. He laughed slightly. But I don't care. I'm so happy. Me too, I think. Once the panic subsides, we'll figure it out, together. He placed his hand on her stomach, even though there was nothing to feel yet. Our baby. Telling the family was another matter. Samara looked thrilled. The uncle congratulated them. Daishik made a snide comment about timing, and Junwoo, still recovering, just studied them both for a long moment. You'll marry her, he finally said. Not a question. I was planning to, Dongyeon replied. Good. Do it quickly, before she's showing. People will talk otherwise. I don't care if people talk. You should. You're head of this family now. Your actions reflect on all of us. But Junwoo's voice wasn't harsh. That said, well, congratulations, both of you. Thank you, Kendall managed, surprised by his acceptance. After they left, Dongyeon turned to her. He's right about one thing. We should get married. Not because of gossip, but because I want you as my wife. Is this a proposal? Not the dramatic one I planned, but yes, he took her hand. Marry me, Kendall. Be my wife, my partner, the mother of my children. Make this official. That's still not very dramatic. I'll do better later, I promise. But right now, I just need to know you'll say yes. Kendall pretended to think about it. Okay. Yes, I'll marry you. They planned a small wedding for 2 weeks later, just family and close friends. Kendall's sister Camilla flew in from home, crying happy tears when she saw Kendall. You're really doing this, Camilla said, helping Kendall into her dress. So marrying a Korean guy you met 3 months ago. I know it's crazy. It's very crazy, but I've never seen you this happy. Camilla adjusted the dress. He better treat you right, or I'll fly back here and handle him. He treats me very right, I promise. The ceremony was simple. Traditional Korean elements mixed with some touches from Kendall's culture. When they exchanged vows, Dongyeon's voice cracked with emotion. I promise to protect you, respect you, and love you every day, he said. To be your partner in everything. To build a family with you that's based on trust and compassion. Kendall's vows were simpler. I promise to stay by your side through whatever comes. To be honest, to be strong, and to remind you that compassion isn't weakness when you forget. They sealed it with a kiss that made Camilla whistle from the crowd. The reception was still going when Dongyeon pulled Kendall aside to a quiet balcony. Happy? He asked. Incredibly. You? More than I knew I could be. He touched her stomach again, still gentle. Everything I ever wanted is right here. Everything? Everything that matters. He kissed her forehead. Thank you for taking a chance on me that day, for staying calm during a robbery, and somehow seeing me as more than what I do. Thank you for noticing me, for giving me a chance when you had no reason to. They stood there, watching the sun set over the city, beginning their new life together. Pregnancy agreed with Kendall for the first month. Then morning sickness hit like a train, and she spent 3 weeks barely able to keep anything down. I'm dying, she groaned from the bathroom floor. This baby is killing me. You're not dying, Dongjeon said, rubbing her back, though I understand why it feels that way. How do women do this multiple times? I have no idea. I'm already impressed you're doing it once. Eventually, the sickness passed, and Kendall moved into the second trimester. Energy returned, and she threw herself back into work, analyzing deals and sitting in on negotiations, while her stomach gradually grew. "Should you be working this much?" Samara asked one day. "Doctor says it's fine as long as I'm not stressed. And honestly, work keeps me from overthinking everything." "What are you overthinking?" Kendall hesitated. "Whether I'll be a good mother, whether I'm ready for this, whether our baby will be accepted by people who already barely accept me. Those are all valid concerns." Samara sat beside her. "But here's what I know. You're strong, intelligent, and you genuinely care about people. That makes you better equipped than most. As for acceptance," she smiled slightly, "this baby will be a Lee. That comes with automatic respect, whether people like it or not. That feels wrong. Respect should be earned. In our world, it often isn't. That's reality." Samara squeezed her hand. "But you're already earning respect on your own. People see how you work with Dongjeon, how you handle yourself. You're proving you belong here." The validation helped. Kendall focused on preparing, reading books, taking classes, setting up the nursery in their new house on the compound. Dongjeon was involved in everything, maybe over-involved. "You don't need to baby-proof the house at 4 months, Kendall laughed, watching him install cabinet locks. "The baby won't even crawl for almost a year. I want to be ready. You're nesting. It's adorable. I'm not nesting. I'm being prepared." "You're definitely nesting." Junwoo's recovery progressed well enough that he started attending meetings again. Kendall noticed he watched her differently now, less suspicious, more considering. "You've done good work these past months," he told her one evening. "That deal with the shipping company. You saw the problem before anyone else." "Just paid attention to their accounting," Kendall said modestly. "My son chose well, both in business and in life." Junwoo's approval felt hard-won and meaningful. "This baby will be lucky to have you as a mother." "Thank you. That means a lot." At 6 months, Kendall felt the baby move for the first time. She was in a meeting when it happened. A flutter like butterflies, then stronger kicks. "Are you okay?" one of the business partners asked, noticing her distracted expression. "Fine. Sorry. Baby's just active today." She focused back on the discussion, but kept one hand on her stomach. That night, she guided Dongyeon's hand to where the baby was kicking. "There. Feel that." His eyes went wide. "That's our baby. That's our baby." He knelt down and spoke to her stomach. "Hey in there, this is your dad. I know it's crowded, but hang on a bit longer, okay? We're excited to meet you." Kendall laughed, carding her fingers through his hair. "You're such a softie." "Only for you too." Everything was going perfectly until the 8th month. Kendall woke up at 3 a.m. with sharp pain and immediately knew something was wrong. "Donggeon," she gasped, shaking him awake. "Something's not right." He was alert instantly. "What kind of pain?" "Sharp, constant, different from normal." Another wave hit and she doubled over. Donggeon had her at the hospital in 15 minutes. Doctors rushed her to a room, monitors everywhere. Nurses speaking rapid Korean she couldn't follow in her panicked state. "What's happening?" she asked the doctor in English. "Your blood pressure is very high. We need to monitor you and the baby carefully." The doctor spoke calmly but efficiently. "This could be preeclampsia. We might need to deliver early if it doesn't stabilize." "It's too early. 8 months is manageable. Baby would likely be fine." The doctor adjusted monitors. "Let's see if we can bring your pressure down first." Donggeon held her hand while they waited. His expression was controlled, but Kendall saw the fear underneath. "I'm scared," she admitted quietly. "Me too. But you're both going to be fine. You have to be." "What if something goes wrong?" "Then we handle it. Together. Like everything else." He kissed her forehead. "You're the strongest person I know, Kendall. You've got this." They managed to stabilize her pressure with medication. The doctor recommended bed rest for the remaining month. Absolutely no work, no stress, just rest. The doctor was firm. If your pressure spikes again, we deliver immediately. Going on bed rest felt like torture. Kendall wasn't good at doing nothing, and watching Dongyeon handle everything alone stressed her out more than working did. You need to relax, Camilla said over video call. Doctor's orders. I'm going crazy just lying here. Then find something to do that doesn't involve work. Read, watch shows, plan the nursery. I've already planned every detail of the nursery twice. Then plan it a third time. Dongyeon tried to work from home as much as possible. They'd set up an office in the bedroom so he could be nearby. You don't have to babysit me, Kendall said. I'm not babysitting. I'm being with my wife, who's carrying our child, and on medical rest. He looked up from his laptop. Besides, I work better when you're nearby. Liar. Okay, maybe a little. But mostly the first thing. At 36 weeks, Kendall woke up feeling wrong. Not pain exactly, just off. Her body felt heavy and strange. Dongyeon, she said carefully. I think it's time. Time? Yeah, time. The next 12 hours were a blur. Labor was long and difficult. At one point, the baby's heart rate dropped, and doctors considered emergency surgery. Whatever keeps them safe, Kendall told them through the pain. Do whatever you need to do. But the baby stabilized, and labor progressed naturally. Finally, after what felt like forever, a cry filled the room. It's a girl, the doctor announced, placing a tiny, squirming baby on Kendall's chest. Kendall looked down at her daughter, perfect tiny face, dark hair, beautiful brown skin, and burst into tears. She's here, she whispered. She's really here. Dongyeon was crying too, touching their daughter's hand with one finger. She's perfect. You did it, Kendall. She's perfect. They named her Nicole, meaning miracle in Swahili. She was small but healthy, all her tests coming back normal. The family visited over the next days. Samara cried when she held Nicole. Junwoo looked softer than Kendall had ever seen him. Even Daishik managed to say something almost nice. She's cute. For a baby, he admitted. High praise from you, Dongyeon said dryly. Taking Nicole home was terrifying and wonderful at once. She was so small, so fragile. Kendall second-guessed every decision. Am I holding her right? Is she eating enough? Why is she crying? You're doing great, Dongyeon assured her, though he looked equally nervous. We're both figuring this out. What if we mess up? Then we fix it and do better next time. That's parenting, right? Camilla stayed for 2 weeks to help. You're both disasters, she said fondly, watching them panic over a diaper change. Oh, but you'll figure it out. How are you so calm? You've never had a baby either. Because I'm not the one responsible for keeping this tiny human alive. That pressure is all yours. You're not helping. But slowly, day by day, they found their rhythm. Nicole's cries became less mysterious. Feedings got easier. Sleep happened in brief stolen moments, but it happened. One night when Nicole was 3 weeks old, Kendall found Dongyeon sitting in the nursery, just watching their daughter sleep. What are you thinking about? She asked quietly. How my whole life has led to this moment. Every decision, every choice, even the bad ones. They all brought me here. He looked at her. Brought us here. With her. No regrets? Not a single one. He stood, pulling Kendall into his arms carefully so they could both watch Nicole together. I used to think power was the most important thing. Control, respect. But this, he gestured to their sleeping daughter. This matters more than all of that combined. You're getting soft in your old age? Maybe. But I'm okay with that. Nicole started making little sounds in her sleep. tiny coos and sighs that seemed impossibly loud in the quiet nursery. "She's going to have your stubbornness," Dongjian predicted. "I can already tell. And your tendency to overthink everything. Perfect combination. Completely terrifying combination, you mean?" They stood there together, watching their miracle sleep, and Kendall felt more content than she'd ever been. This complicated, unexpected life was somehow exactly right. Nicole's first year flew by in a blur of sleepless nights and milestone moments. Her first smile at 6 weeks, on first laugh at 3 months, first time sitting up at 5 months. Kendall documented everything obsessively. "You're taking more photos than a professional photographer," Dongjian teased, watching Kendall snap her 100th picture of Nicole playing with blocks. "She won't be this small forever. I want to remember everything." "We'll remember. Trust me." But Kendall kept taking pictures anyway, because Dongjian was right. Nicole grew impossibly fast. One day she was a tiny newborn. The next, she was crawling everywhere and pulling herself up on furniture. Work had taken a back seat during Nicole's first months, but gradually, Kendall eased back into consulting. She worked from home mostly, analyzing deals during nap times and joining video meetings, while Nicole played nearby. "You're juggling too much," Samara warned during one visit, "so you don't have to prove anything." "I'm not trying to prove anything. I just miss using my brain for more than counting diapers." "Fair enough. Just don't run yourself into the ground." Kendall was careful to maintain balance. Nicole came first always, but work kept her sharp and engaged with the world. Dongjian supported whatever she decided. "If you want to work full-time, we'll make it happen. If you want to stay home, that works too," he'd said early on. "Whatever makes you happy." "I think I want both, somehow. Then we'll figure out both." They did, with help from Samara and a nanny Kendall actually liked. Someone who respected that Kendall was still Nicole's primary parent, but provided support when needed. Around Nicole's first birthday, Junwoo's health took another turn. He'd been doing well, managing his recovery. But stress from a business dispute caused another heart episode. "It's not as serious as last time," the doctor explained, "but he needs to step back completely now. No more work stress at all." Which meant Dongjian took over everything permanently. The weight of it showed in new lines around his eyes, the tension in his shoulders that never quite went away. "I can handle more of the business side," Kendall offered one evening. "Let me take some of the pressure off." "You already do so much." "Exactly. I already do it. Let me do more. I want to help." They restructured everything, Kendall taking on more strategic planning, while Dongjian handled negotiations and family politics. It worked surprisingly well. People had started respecting Kendall's judgment, listening when she spoke in meetings. "You've become quite the power player," Daeshik commented during one family dinner, and for once, it didn't sound like an insult. "Just trying to help," Kendall replied diplomatically. "You're doing more than helping. You're becoming essential." Even from Daeshik, that felt like massive progress. Nicole's second birthday brought the whole family together. She was walking now, talking in broken sentences, and had developed a strong personality that made everyone laugh. "She's definitely your daughter," Samara told Kendall, watching Nicole boss around her older cousins. "Knows exactly what she wants." "She's got Dongjian's stubborn streak too, unfortunately." "Hey, that's a good quality," Dongjian protested, holding Nicole, who was attempting to grab his nose. "Keep telling yourself that." Life settled into a comfortable pattern. Work, a family, the occasional drama with business rivals that they handled together. Kendall had built relationships with most of the family, some closer than others, but all respectful now. One evening when Nicole was asleep and they had rare quiet time together, Dongjian brought up something he'd been thinking about. "I want to expand our legitimate businesses, phase out some of the gray area operations over the next few years." Kendall looked at him carefully. "Because of Nicole?" "Partly. I don't want her growing up questioning what her father does. He took Kendall's hand. But also because of you. You showed me there's another way to have power. Through respect earned honestly, not through fear. That's a big change. I know. It'll take time and careful planning. Some family members won't like it. He met her eyes. But I think it's right. For all of us. Then let's figure out how to make it happen. They spent the next year strategically shifting the family business, selling off questionable operations, investing heavily in legal ventures, building legitimate respect in the business community. It wasn't easy, and not everyone supported it, but Junwoo surprisingly did. Times change, he told Dongjeon during one discussion. What worked for my generation might not work for yours, and your daughter deserves a legacy she can be proud of. The transformation wasn't complete. Some things were too embedded to change overnight, but progress happened steadily. When Nicole turned 3, she started asking questions about everything. Why does Papa have so many meetings? Where does Mama go when she works? Why do people call Papa boss? Your Papa is a businessman, Kendall explained simply. He helps run companies that lots of people work for. What kind of companies? Different kinds. Restaurants, shipping companies, office buildings. Can I see? Dongjeon overheard and smiled. Sure. I'll take you to the restaurant tomorrow. You can help me inspect the kitchen. Watching Dongjeon with Nicole never stopped making Kendall's heart melt. He was patient and gentle with their daughter in ways he'd never be with anyone else. One afternoon, Kendall was working from home when Samara stopped by unannounced. We need to talk, Samara said, her expression serious. Kendall's stomach dropped. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong exactly, it's just… Samara sat down. Junwoo wants to officially retire. Make Dongjeon's position as head of family permanent and public. That comes with certain ceremonies and expectations. Okay, what does that mean for me? It means you'll be formally recognized as the wife of the family head. That carries responsibilities, representing the family at events, participating in certain traditions, being visible in the community. I already do most of that. Not officially. This would be different. More scrutiny, more expectations, more pressure. Samara looked at her carefully. Some people still see you as an outsider. This will make that harder for them to claim, but it also puts a bigger target on your back. Can I think about it? Of course. Discuss with Dongjeon. But Kendall… Samara smiled slightly. You've already proven yourself 100 times over. Don't let fear stop you from claiming what you've earned. That evening, Kendall talked to Dongjeon about it. What do you want to do? He asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to say yes because I've worked hard to be accepted. But part of me worries about what it means for Nicole. The pressure, the expectations. Nicole will face some of that regardless. She's a Lee. Dongjeon took Kendall's hand. But whatever you decide, I support you completely. If you want to step back and focus more on being a mother, that's fine. If you want to step up and claim your place fully, that's also fine. What do you want? Honestly, I want you by my side as my equal partner, but only if that's what you want too. Kendall thought about it for 3 days. Talked to Camilla over video call, to Samara, even to Junwoo, who gave surprisingly good advice. And finally, she told Dongjeon her decision. I'll do it. The ceremony, the formal recognition, all of it. You're sure? I'm sure. I've earned my place in this family. Time to make that official. The ceremony was scheduled for 2 months later. Traditional Korean elements mixed with acknowledgments of Kendall's heritage. A blending of cultures that represented their family. The night before, Kendall stood in front of the mirror in her ceremonial dress, nerves finally hitting. I can't believe I'm doing this, she said. Having second thoughts? Dongjeon came up behind her. No, just reflecting on how we got here. 3 years ago, I was serving coffee and getting robbed. Now, I'm about to be formally recognized as part of one of the most powerful families in the city. And you've earned every step of that journey. Have I, though? And sometimes I still feel like I'm pretending, like someone will figure out I don't really belong. Dongyeon turned her to face him. You belong because you chose to be here and fought for your place. Nobody handed you anything. You proved yourself over and over. He touched her cheek gently. You belong because I love you, and Nicole loves you, and this family respects you. That's not pretending. When did you become so good with words? I've always been good with words. You just made me better at using them for something other than business. The ceremony went perfectly. Hundreds of people attended. Family, business associates, community leaders. Kendall wore a dress that honored both her African heritage and Korean tradition, standing beside Dongyeon as equal partners. When it was her turn to speak, she kept it simple. Thank you for accepting me into this family, for giving me the chance to prove myself. I promise to honor that trust and continue working to make our family proud. Applause filled the room. Later, during the reception, person after person approached to congratulate her, including several who'd been openly hostile when she first appeared. You've come a long way, one older relative said. I'll admit, I had doubts at first. But you've proven me wrong. Thank you. That means a lot. Across the room, Kendall caught Dongyeon's eye. He was holding Nicole, who was dressed in a tiny version of Kendall's dress, both of them smiling at her. Her family, her place, her life. Later that night, after Nicole was asleep, and they'd finally escaped the crowds, Dongyeon found Kendall on their bedroom balcony looking at stars. You okay? He asked, wrapping arms around her from behind. More than okay. Just thinking about everything. About how one moment changed our entire lives. You staying calm during that robbery? Yeah, if you hadn't stopped, if you hadn't noticed something was wrong, if I'd panicked instead of staying calm. She leaned back against him. We never would have met. None of this would have happened. I think we would have found each other somehow. Universe wanted us together. That's surprisingly romantic from you. I have my moments. He kissed her temple. I love you, Kendall. Thank you for choosing this crazy life with me. Thank you for seeing me that day. Really seeing me. Not just as a waitress or an employee, but as a person worth knowing. Best decision I ever made. They stood there together, watching the city lights, comfortable in the quiet. On Nicole's baby monitor on the table showed their daughter sleeping peacefully. Think she'll understand all this when she's older? Kendall asked. The family business, the complicated history, everything we had to navigate. I think she'll be proud of her parents who built something good despite challenges, who chose love over expectations. Dongyeon squeezed her gently. And if she has questions, we'll answer them honestly. Promise? Promise. No secrets from our daughter. She deserves to know her family's real story. The messy parts and the beautiful parts. Kendall smiled. Deal. Inside, Nicole made a small sound in her sleep. They both turned to look at the monitor, then at each other. Should we check on her? Dongyeon asked. Probably. We're those parents who can't stop checking. I'm okay with that. They walked back inside together, peeking into Nicole's room where she slept, surrounded by stuffed animals. Her chest rose and fell peacefully, completely unaware that her parents were watching her like she was the most important thing in the world. Which she was. Kendall and Dongyeon stood there for a moment, just being present in the quiet miracle of their daughter's existence. Then they returned to their room, ready for whatever tomorrow would bring. Together, as partners, as equals, as a family built on choices and courage and love that started with a robbery and a moment of calm. That's how stories end sometimes, right? With quiet moments that promise more adventures ahead. Thanks for coming on this journey. Drop a comment if this story hit different for you. And maybe share it with someone who loves a good, unexpected romance.